And we are live. Welcome to another edition of the Astro Weather. I'm Robert Phoenix, and sorry for the tardy appearance here. We had a little bit of a late start. Sometimes it goes like that, it just rolls like that. There's my man Michael. What's going on, DJ MC? Good to see you. At least we have an audience of one, and I think what we'll do is just kind of hang out a little bit and wait for people to be notified that we're actually doing something today. So it's going to be an interesting week as we have the event coming up, and I'm just trying to figure out what I'll be doing. Probably for Thursday, I'll probably do just the Astro Weather on Thursday. So today, 15 minutes over on Rumble. Tomorrow, Astro Weather, 15 minutes on Rumble, and then Thursday, just the Astro Weather, because we are coming into the event zone, and there are many things to do before everybody arrives, and we have 3 days together under the black hole sun right here in the heart of Texas. It's going to be very interesting. Very, very interesting. All right, we're starting to fill up here. Come on in. There's plenty of room. And you know what's really great about this? Every row is a front row seat. Isn't that great? Every row is a front row seat. You don't have to get all the way to the back, right? You don't have to sit in the rafters. You go right to the front of the auditorium, and everybody gets the orchestral box front and center in the virtual world. So good morning, everybody, or how should I say this? Grand Rising Lunchbox 81 has right here. It's a great way to start. Grand Rising. How is everybody doing out there? The world just got really fucking weird, didn't it? And I don't think it's going to let up. I'm going to talk more about what's happening in Israel in the Middle East over on 15 minutes later, and try to address some of that because it is the hot button issue right now, isn't it? And we did about 2 hours of that on Saturday night. So if you're interested in my astrological perspective on what happened over the weekend, what's going on with Israel, and yeah, just check it out. And I'm sure I'll have more to say about that, especially in the astrological bit. You know what I've never done is I've never done like a midpoint composite chart with the United States and Israel. I think I might do that just to see what these two leviathans are together. Okay, so why don't we get into the Astro Weather? By the way, if you want to, you can buy me a cup of coffee, which is linked in the show notes. Some of you have done that. I really appreciate that. And yeah, all right, what do we got here? Thanks for doing that. We did a little shout out last week. I'll probably do something else. Probably do something else tomorrow. Do another little shout out tomorrow. Kind of catch up with that sort of thing. All right, what do we have here? All right, let's go here and let's bring up the chart of the day. That's no, we don't want that one. Let's see. Yeah, hold on. We have a Virgo moon today, so you got to be tight with your shit with the Virgo moon. Keep your shit tight. That's what they said over in Nam. Keep your shit tight. I'm sure they say it in other war theaters as well. All right, let's do this. All right. Here we go. Do a little screen share. All right. That's what we're looking at. A lot of the yacht action has cleaned up, and we've been talking about all those inconjuncts over the last week, which makes it really, really hard to sort of trace the influences back to their source. And we got into this over the weekend on Sunday night with the 10-6 chart. Sorry, the 10 was it 10-7? Yeah, 10-6, 10-7, and even going back to the 4th when we started to look at the kind of the wild inconsistencies, and here we are with the Mars Pluto square. And what did we see yesterday? Heavy shelling of Gaza. I mean, they have just decided to. I saw this video yesterday on Twitter. This young gal, she was so composed. It was eerie how composed she was and self-possessed. I mean, she was walking around her apartment and she was just being very calm. I guess her parents were in their apartment, and there was some kind of a mortar shell or RPG or something, and it rocked her apartment building. Absolutely rocked her apartment building. And then she walked over to the window. All the windows were closed. She walked over to the window, opened the window, and it just looked like a dystopic hell. And how can anybody condone that? Like, whatever happened with this raid, sorry, I'm getting a little political here. Whatever happened with this raid and whoever perpetrated this raid, right? How could anybody just condone the absolute shelling of an entire? And, somebody pointed this out, that the Las Vegas Strip by area is bigger than the Gaza Strip. Keep that in mind. Just a lot of people have been to Las Vegas. Just keep that in mind. Las Vegas Strip is bigger than the Gaza Strip, and so they've just decided to go in and level this place. That's your Mars Pluto square right there, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. We've been talking about that for a while, right? And it is this violent upheaval in the name of justice and balancing the scales. And this Mars and Libra has just been brutal, absolutely brutal. And now you have, crazy fucking Nikki Haley talking about how they need to finish the job and just absolutely level Gaza, right? I mean, this is what's going on. And what's going to happen now is all those people are they're going to be migrants, right? What you're witnessing is another version of Maui. This is what you're witnessing now. It's just it's just using different kinds of destructive weapons in order to level a populace. And I think the ramifications of this are much more far-reaching than we can understand at this point in time, right? It's all coming off of this transit of Mars, and we can just see it happen. We're talking about the Mars Pluto square. We're talking about Mars hitting that south node, and just the random chaotic energy that was in the chart, and boom, there it is, right? So it's going to be real interesting. We got Friday the 13th coming up. We got Mars moving into Scorpio, and man, as kind of a precursor to Scorpio season, right? So where are we today? Well, we've got a Moon-Venus conjunction. Critical, highly critical. The energies are very critical today. Let me repeat that again. Critical. It's one of those days where nobody can do anything right or well enough. Be kind to your Starbucks barista, okay? Be kind to your barista. This should be kind to barista day. If they fucked up your order, make it right. Now, on the other hand, in the service world, because this is all service-related energy, right? You could also be on the other side of very abrupt, very clipped interactions, with people that are in the service world. Doesn't matter what they are. It could be your barista, it could be your mechanic, it could be your plumber, it could be um, your dental assistant, or the person that cleans your mouth, a dental hygienist, right? Whatever. The people right now in these positions, they are not in a very friendly mood today. So these positions are very important in our world because they're the front lines of human decency in a lot of ways. Like, it's a service-oriented industry. So when you perform a service for somebody, you're really performing a service, even if the service is a paid service. So today is one of those days where there's just not a lot of wiggle room, right? There's not a lot of lubrication on the joints. And I can see the energy today as being real snappy, right? With that square with Uranus and then that opposition with Saturn. And people are starting to look at where they are, and they've been doing this for a while. People are starting to look at where they are from a value-based position, meaning, is what I'm doing enough? Am I getting paid enough? And for a lot of people, the answer right now is going to be no, right? Inflation has just completely run rampant. And people are looking around and they're saying, oh, how the fuck can I get ahead, right? So there's that energy in the world today as well. It's highly critical. And a lot of people are going to feel underappreciated and undercompensated, right? And we've got this Moon-Saturn opposition. And Saturn's in Pisces. And it's like, just strap it on, tough it up. Everybody else had to do it. Everybody else had to, make minimum wage or whatever that is, right? To me, that's very Saturn and Pisces, like paying your dues. Singing the blues and paying your dues. That's Saturn and Pisces. So it's one of those days. Now, Saturn does have a pretty good position today in other part of the chart, especially as it relates to this trine with Mars, which is coming in. We'll get the benefit of the Mars trine when it moves into Scorpio on Friday the 13th. But Mars is coming in and trining Saturn. So there is some endurance here, right? There is some endurance. And we're really at those final degrees of Mars. Today is a crazy day at 28 Libra. It's a crazy, crazy day. So let's strip Mars out of Libra just for a second. The Mars-Saturn trine does have something to do with your own inner authority. And that's just the bottom line aspect, right? Like, it's endurance, it's getting through things, it's overcoming obstacles, right? It's really a classic, I'll use the word again, strap it on kind of aspect. Like, you just move ahead, get it done, right? That's Mars trine Saturn. But in Libra, we'll put Libra back in. We just stripped it. We'll put Libra back in. It has a lot to do with equality, fairness, balance, and injustice. So you put that into the mix, right? And you still have to, engage with Mars. So the balance is either going to be inside of yourself or it's going to be with another person. So if you're in a place where you can stick up for somebody, or you can vouch for somebody, today would be a good day to do that. It would be a very good day to do that. I was watching this interview with Marshawn Lynch, who's a football player, and he was talking about when he first played with Aaron Rodgers at Cal. Some of you know who Aaron Rodgers is. And there was a play where Marshawn Lynch lined up in the wrong spot, and he was supposed to get the ball. So when Aaron Rodgers knew he was in the wrong spot, so Aaron Rodgers, instead of turning and handing the ball off the way the play called for, he knew he was in the wrong spot, and he took the ball and he sort of like put it behind him. And Marshawn Lynch got it, and he found the gap, found the hole, and he scored a touchdown. And then when he went to the sideline, Jeff Tedford, who was the coach, started berating him for not running the right play. And Aaron Rodgers stick up for him and said, no, it's my bad, my bad. I was the one that, so Aaron Rodgers fell on the sword for Marshawn Lynch. And everybody from Jeff Tedford on down knew that Aaron Rodgers was doing that. But Aaron Rodgers was vehement that, no, it's my fault, even though Marshawn Lynch was the one who fucked up. And Marshawn Lynch remembered that forever, right? He talks about that. From that point forward, Aaron Rodgers had his respect, right? Because he had his back. He had his back on that play. That's kind of what I'm talking about here today with that Mars trying to Saturn and in Libra. Even if you have to take a bit of the fall for somebody else today, it will pay off for you in the long run. That gets us also back into that sextile with Moon and Venus and in Virgo, right? In the sextile energy with Mars. I wouldn't say it's sacrificial per se. I wouldn't say that, but there is that element of like providing cover, right? There is that element of balancing the scales. I think it's the best aspect of the day, honestly, because everything else is still strained. It's all strained. There's nothing really advantageous right now. You've got these outer planet action. The Saturn planet action going on with Uranus sextile Neptune. This is all dealing with collective energies, right? And yeah, I don't think there's a ton more I have to say about today, with the exception of maybe the conjunction of Venus and the Moon and Virgo. Take care of your health. Bottom line, just take care of your health. Make sure you're taking all the right supplements and doing all the right things to stay in the game. Okay, let's talk about the star of the day. So on Friday, I kind of fucked up, and I had J.J. Stokes star of the day with the wrong year. But you know what's really interesting about J.J. Stokes? I went back to his birth year. It's almost the same chart, and that rarely happens. So everything I said about J.J. Stokes, with the exception of Venus, which is in his chart in Virgo, in the chart that I did, it was in Leo, basically the same chart. So for all of you Eagle Live viewers who reminded me, thank you for that. And then I did correct it. And ironically, it's almost the same thing. Today's Star of the Day brought to you by True Hemp Science. True Hemp Science, your one-stop shop for all of your CBD needs, whether you want CBD for your joints, your body, your cells, to reset your blueprint, right? CBD is great for that. Or you want it for something else, like going to sleep or altering your mood just ever so slightly with some of the other products like the Moon Dust. It's a great company. You're supporting the local business. And all you have to do is type in 15MINS, 15MINS, and you will get free product with your order of $100 or more, $150 or more, get you free shipping. And there's always a 30-day money-back guarantee. The link is in the show notes. Don't forget the 15MINS. So your star of the day brought to you by True Hemp Science. Today was a tough day. I got to tell you, today was a tough day. But today's star of the day is Thelonius Monk. And you may ask yourself, how did he get here? And what in hell can we tell about Thelonius Monk from his chart? Those are all very good questions. Thelonius Monk was born in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. He was self-taught. He was a self-taught pianist. And his style of playing was very unusual. He played with his fingers like straight up. Like nobody had kind of Monk's playing style. So in that regard, he's a bit of a savant in a lot of ways. And of course, he becomes very well known during this era of bebop and post-bop. So he plays with people like Charlie Parker and Miles Davis and Charles Mingus, right? He plays with, all the heavy hitters of the day, right? And the thing about Monk, there's a really interesting documentary on him. And I think it was produced maybe by his son, T.S. Monk. I think T.S. Monk was produced this biography of Thelonious Monk. And one of the things that is comes through is the fact that he battles with mental illness and addiction. Like those are like two of the bigger issues in Monk's life is mental illness and addiction. And part of the mental illness part, I think, has something to do with Gemini rising, right? Not everybody that's Gemini rising is mentally ill, but Monk did have some traits of schizophrenia in his personality, and he was known to just kind of wander off and wander around and get lost. And um, his life is very unusual, very unique, as unique as piano playing style. And he has that South Node Pluto conjunction in the first house. And so there's definitely a high degree of intensity. He's taking, the thing with the South Node is that it's receptive. And so he's taking in all of these influences in the first house through that South Node and Pluto. So it's a very powerful generator on a personal level, right? And he deals with this feeling of being uprooted and homeless in a lot of ways, which is you can see this in the documentary. And one of the things about Monk, which a lot of the jazz musicians had during the 40s, 50s, and 60s, is that they were much more widely regarded in Europe than they were in the United States. And so you can see that he has Uranus in the ninth house, which really ties into this grand trine that he has in his chart, right? Right here, right here, right here. So he's got this grand trine with Uranus and Jupiter and the sun. And Uranus-Jupiter trines are really great for improvisation. That's what they're the best for. And he has Jupiter in Gemini, so of course it's going to be incredibly improvisational. And it's also retrograde, which means that I don't know. It's I'd like to think, because I have a Jupiter Uranus trine in my chart, and when I was growing up, there'd be these moments like in the classroom, and I would have these just absolute flashes of genius and insight, and I would raise my hand and say something, and it would be like just coming from a different place. And then it would kind of go away, and it would frustrate the shit out of me. It's like, how do I get back there? How do I get back to that thing I tapped into? It was really tricky because I knew I could touch it, right? But it was inconsistent, which was what Uranus is. And I think Monk has it and he has it in spades, like probably way more than me. But with Jupiter retrograde, I think instead of me kind of waiting around for it, I think he would try to. There's a term in drug use. It's called chasing the dragon. When you chase that first hit you have off of heroin, right? And I think that there is also when you have like the instant flash of the epiphany, it's kind of like a drug. It's just kind of like a drug. It all just kind of happens, right? And so you want to chase that dragon. So I think Monk is chasing the dragon a lot in his chart with Jupiter in the 12th house. And I think he's quite inspired, actually. Whatever he's taking in, whatever kind of influences and emotions, like he could even do it probably in a live setting, right? Like this is the thing about jazz players, and they talk about this when they would, in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, they would go into these really improvisational places. And so they were playing off each other's energy, but they were also playing off the energy of the day, the energy of the club, the energy of the people in the club. They're very receptive. And so when you take all that on, those are kind of titanic feelings. And then coming down from that is, and the funny thing was that they didn't get paid a lot. I mean, that's the other thing. They had to play a lot because, they were getting screwed in the royalties, right? So they were getting paid a lot. And then they were dealing with that reality. So a lot of them turned into junkies, and Thelonious Monk being one of them. So I think eventually he winds up quitting drugs, and he finally finds a place to live in, I think, New Jersey, Jersey City or something like that. And he meets this older German woman who takes him in, right? Again, Uranus in the ninth house. And then we have the true node in Capricorn. And he finds this, kind of unique partnership later in life where he can finally, rest his head. Yeah, and even down here in the third house, he's got all this Leo going on in the third house. Neptune and Saturn and Mars and the moon. He's got that really restless, like he's really creative. Like there's a ton of creativity happening here, and it's all sextiling Jupiter, right? So you can see sort of the improvisational genius of Monk at work here, but you can also see some of the demons, like with the Mercury Pluto square, which is quite intense. Mercury in Libra, hey, can't we all just get along? No, can't, because he has to go through sort of the graveyard of his past. He has to go through the graveyard of kind of where we've been, right? He has to go through the graveyard of other people's lives. And he's a very interesting and complex character. And I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I did it, and he's going to have these weird relationships along the way, right? Venus and Scorpio, squaring Uranus, squaring Mars. But his plane can't be, it cannot be underestimated. Like his plane, his mark on the idiom, on the jazz medium is singular, unique. And you get this with these Jupiter Uranus trines, and they're all coming in and trining that very creative sun in the fifth house in Libra. So there you go. There's our star of the day, Mr. Thelonious Monk, the loneliest monk. Thanks for being here. I'll be over on 15 minutes over on Rumble. And we'll endeavor to be back tomorrow at 8 a.m. Central Standard Time with the right camera. This is not the right camera. The right camera has failed me. But come join us over on 15 minutes on Rumble. And we'll try to go through the rubble of what's happening over in the Middle East. What more can I say? Okay, take care. Use your head in order to discern what's real, your heart to say what's possible. Bye for now.